Okay, in page 119, guys, we are talking about climates and ecosystems. Okay, until my screen is being shared, just use your marker or your pen and underline or highlight with me. We have already studied with Mr. Mark about the Earth and the relation between the Earth and the Sun, and that the Earth orbits the Sun in a fixed orbit. And because of that, the Earth receives a fixed amount of sunlight due to, or according to, or according to this fixed amount of sunlight that the Earth receives, we have what called a variety in the climate, or the climate or the temperature on Earth. The temperature on Earth varies
Teacher,
from one
this is
place.
page what?
190.
Okay.
Okay. Because of this fixed amount of sunlight that the Earth receives, we have temperature on Earth, and the temperature varies because places on Earth change, or we have altitude and we have longitude. We have some places that are very high, like mountains and hills, and we have very low spaces. If you turn the page on page 120 and 121, you will have a map of the world climate zone, a map of the world climate zone, okay, showing you how the temperature varies from one place to another on Earth. Okay, if you can see in the Arctic and Antarctica, you will have an icy places because the amount of the temperature or sunlight that goes to these places are very low. That's why we have a lot of ice there. On the other hand, you will find in Africa and also some parts of Asia, you will find the temperature is very high. That's why we have a high temperature due to the sunlight or the amount of sunlight it receives, which we call tropical places. Tropical places. All right, the most important now is page 122, biomes and ecosystems. Biomes and ecosystems. Okay, can you see this page, guys? Page 122.
Yes.
Okay, in biomes and ecosystems, we have here in front of us that the planet interdependent communities. We have special kinds of plants. They make interdependent communities. These communities are the places they are living in. And the community of plants and animals that live in a particular environment is known as a biome. Mean that, for example, we have animals that live in tropical places. Okay, the animals and the planets that live in this place, we call all of this ecosystem a biome. So a biome meaning that the community, the place, the area that specific or special plants or animals live in. So the second line and third line, underline it or highlight it. The community of plants and animals that live in a particular environment is known as biome. And you can write a definition of biome or what is a biome.
Teacher, this what page?
122.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next, Ibrahim, the kinds of plants and animals that live in a biome depends on the following factors. The first factor is the temperature of the place. Second one is the soil. and the amount of light and water that the place have. That's very important. So in paragraph number 1, you need to underline or highlight the definition of a biome and the factors that that a biome depends on. Okay, guys, so good so far? Hello?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. So again, in paragraph number 1, we need to know the definition of a biome and the factors that the biome depends on. In the second paragraph, within each biome, there are many ecosystems. So in each place, in each area with a specific plants and animals, we have multi or many or a variety of ecosystems. The ecosystem, its definition, underline the definition of the ecosystem. An ecosystem is the system of living or non-living things in a particular environment, which is called a biome. An ecosystem is a system of living or non-living things in a particular environment. This environment is called a biome. And there can be many different ecosystems within only one biome. All right, classifying biomes. How can we differentiate among different kinds of biomes? In this lesson, we will look at 4 main biomes. We have first the desert, the tundra, the forests, and the grasslands. So we will talk about only 4 biomes in this lesson. The first one is the desert, tundra, forests, and also the grassland. However, within each of these classifications, there are many more precise biomes. Look at the key to the map in page 120 and 121, the map of the climate zones, okay? And sometimes scientists can further divide them into even more biomes and even more. Okay, not important. So the most important in page 122, the definition of a biome, the factor that a biome depends on, and the definition of an ecosystem. In page 123, on page 123, we'll start first with the desert. Okay. Earlier, you have already learned about desert as landforms. However, desert is also a type of a biome. So underline that desert is a type of a biome, and that desert have extreme temperature. In the daylight, they are very hot, and at night they are very cold. And almost no water. True desert receives less than 25 centimeters of precipitation each year. The soil is very sandy or rocky, and also the poor quality of plants to grow. As a result, plants live in sparse in the desert, meaning that because there are not much water in the desert, we don't have many plants in the desert. And we have 2 types of desert. They either solely, meaning that consists of sandy, or they are consistent of rocks. The desert in Saudi Arabia, for example, most of them, they are rocky ones. In the second paragraph, some desert plants such as cacti store water in their roots or leaves. Others have seeds that remain dormant for a long time to survive from one rainfall to another, meaning that the plants that can live or exist in a desert, they have special qualities to make them absorb water or contain water or save water inside them. And by that, they can live in the very hard conditions of the desert. And that's not important.
Is the paragraph one important?
Paragraph 1, you need to know that the desert is a type of biome, second and third line, and that the temperature of the desert it's either very hot or very cold. Okay. In the third paragraph, not many animals can survive desert conditions. Desert animals are usually, that's very important. You can write in the blank area what are the characteristics of desert animals.
Teacher, we cannot see it, pixelated.
Third, 123,
Yes.
third paragraph, write this question. What are the characteristics of desert animals? What are the characteristics of desert animals?
They are active at night.
What?
They are active at night.
Active at night. Yeah, some of them are active at night.
They're small animals,
Small, that's
And-
right.
able to survive without drinking water.
Bravo, very good. So we have three types or three characteristics. The first one is the nocturnal, meaning that they are active at night, because we have already said that the daylight is very hot and the temperature is very high for them to can survive in it. So more of them, or most of them, they just go out at night searching for food. So you either write in the exam nocturnal or active at night, either of them. Number two, they are small. And of course, this is due to the lack of food, because there is not much food in the desert, so they cannot have much food to grow into a large sizes.
Teacher,
Yes?
we need only to know the first word.
Yeah, the first word is more than enough, because its definition is active at night, Ahmed. So nocturnal meaning that active at night. So you either write nocturnal or active at night. Second one is small. And the third one is able to survive without drinking water.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. So we have examples of desert animals, including spiders, scorpions, snakes, cow, and vultures. On the other hand, the total opposite of the desert, we have the polar regions. The polar regions. We said that in the desert, at daylight it's very, very, very hot, and at night it's very cold. Yet in the polar regions, it's totally cold all day long, because we have polar regions are an icy type of desert, desert, and that's why the lack of temperature or the lack of sunlight in these places. They have heavy snowfall and big stretches of ice. Please underline the first three lines and write the question. What are polar regions? So just add what are before polar regions. So again, polar regions, they are considered to be an icy types of desert. They have heavy snowfall and big stretches of ice, also called the ice desert. Almost there are no plants in them because the conditions there are very, very severe to any plant that can grow in it. And some animals, such as polar bears and penguins, are adapted to living in these environments. And of course, they live on fishing. The Arctic Circle is a polar region. Okay, underline this one. So underline the first three lines and the last line. The Arctic Circle is a polar region. Okay, going to page 124. In page 124, we are talking about the third biome we have, which is called the Tundra. Tundra is mostly situated in the high latitudes of the northern hemisphere, just below the Arctic Circle. Because of its latitude, the region has long, cold winter and short, cool summer. It is so cold that there is permanently a layer of frozen soil just under the ground known as permafrost. Last two lines. It is so cold that there is permanently a layer of frozen soil just under the ground known as permafrost. Permafrost, just underline it, very important. And the photo in front of you, it's for the Tundra in East Siberia, placed in Russia. The temperature for the Tundra, guys, varies from minus 40 degrees Celsius to 18 degrees Celsius in the summer, but it stays below 0 degree for 6 to 10 months of the year. So as we have already read in paragraph number 1, we have a very long, cold winter. From 6 to 10 months a year, it's below 0 degree. In summer, some of the ice melts from the marshland. The permafrost melts at the surface, so some small plants, such as mosses, sedges, and lychees can grow here. Some small animals also, like birds and insects, also appear during the summer month when they can feed on plants. On the other hand, in the winter, they cannot live because of the severe kind of temperature. Any question?
No, teacher.
All right. So again, in page 122, the biome is the community of plants and animals that live in a particular environment. And we have three factors that determine the biome, which are the temperature, the soil, and the amount of light and water. And we have many ecosystems within each biome, and the ecosystem is a system of living or non-living things in a particular environment. The first kind of biome we had was the desert, and we said that desert are considered to be type of biomes, and its temperature either very hot or very cold, but mostly it's very hot. And the characteristics of the animals that live in a desert, they are nocturnal, meaning that they are active at night. They are very small because they don't have much amount of food to feed on, and they are able to survive without drinking for long periods of time. On the contrary to the desert, we have the polar region, which is also considered to be a type of biomes, but we can call it an icy desert because the temperature there is very, very low, beneath zero all the year, because the amount of sunlight it receives is very low also. There are almost no planets in the polar regions, except for some animals like the polar bears and the penguins, which have already adapted to these severe conditions. The third type we have already talked about was the tundra, and we said that the tundra just beneath the polar regions, and the temperature there varies from minus 40 degrees to 18 degrees Celsius, but most of the year, from 6 to 10 months a year, it's beneath or below 0 degree. Okay. Any question, Ahmed?
No, thank you.